Right, welcome back. So from where we've left off last time, I have done a small bit more. I have got the nose section together, glued in the gun barrels, and I've also just taken time to glue together all these sort of half pieces. So we've got the fuel tanks, main wheels, and the bombs. So they're gluing together, just setting up before I clean up the seams and get them ready for paint. So now the wings have cured off from where we left them last time. What we want to do is sort the undercarriage out. That's the next step. So simple case of snipping them out, being very careful not to break the plastic. So if we do part 30 first, part 30 pairs with part 32, so that's just the same for both sides. Now this one we need to be careful snipping out because it is quite a fine piece of plastic, so start from the end, and then that gives the plastic the ability to move and flex so it doesn't shear and snap. Right, so now same with a lot of these other parts, is I'm actually going to get these together and then I'm going to worry about doing the cleanup because they'll be stronger together. So part is the left hand side and it goes on this wing here. So what we want to do is position the undercarriage looking like it's going to be a right 90-degree angle. So get some quick drying cement, place it together, and it fitted better when I dry fitted it. There we go. Push and hold. Simple as that. As I said before, this particular plastic is reacting really nicely to Tammy's quick drying cement. And the more I build this kit, the more I am convinced it's an Academy kit. Right, so when we look at how this positions together, we can see, we get a scalpel to point, we can see down in here, see where the scalpel is pointing, that is where this piece here of the undercarriage locates. So it's simple. Once it's drying up, then we'll just pop that piece in there and set the undercarriage on the trunnion mounts. It's maybe not the right name for them, but that's what they look like to me, so that's what they're getting called. So here, pop that piece in there, that on there like that. I'm hoping when we get the engine nacelles built around this, this will become easy to come in and out, so we can actually leave this off for painting and then put it in after. And another good point about these undercarriage oleos is that if we look at them again, because I think this is quite an early tooling, it's reasonably free of flash and bearing mold separation marks, but also Academy, Revell, whoever the mold company is, molded in the flexible brake lines. So that's another little detail that we don't have to do, which is fantastic. So I'm really impressed with this kit. Now, as I said yesterday, spent about half an hour of build time getting the kit to a stage where we could dry assemble it with tape. We can look here at the tail fin joint, is absolutely beautiful. I've also cut the rear turret concealant roof part of the aircraft. Again, that fit is absolutely stunning. So I'm actually very impressed with this model aircraft. So unusual subject, twin engine, which always gets my vote, and good fit. And of course, with all the aftermarket companies out there, There's quite a bit of extras. There's certainly mask sets, and there's Edard photo etch available for this. Photo etch seat harnesses. So the modeler is definitely well catered for this aircraft. Right, and we'll pop that one in there. And there we go. So we'll just let that cure up. And then it falls over. Okay, so there's the undercarriage sorted. Next thing to move on to is the rest of the Part 9, and these are bulkheads in the nacelle parts. We've got the pitot tube here on the front. So we've got the pitot tube here. We're not going to put on until we've got the whole aircraft together. We've got the fore and aft bulkheads on the engine nacelles. This piece here we've already attached to the bomb bay. We did that when we built the bomb bay. And then the next part, Part 10, we're actually looking at assembling the engine nacelles, which is excellent. So the build is moving on rapidly. So I've already got one of those two parts off the sprues, well, nearly off the sprues, the sprue part taken away. We've got the parts here, so just clip the main parts off because the sprues are quite gangly. Yeah, so I honestly think Revell and Academy have come together on this one. And I see that Academy actually have boxed this kit now as well. I looked on ScaleMates. So this boxing that I built is the original boxing for 2011. And I think Revell has made 4 versions of this kit, or at least 4 boxings, including the British Ventura, or Hudson I think it was, Mark II, which has got a different nose and a different dorsal turret, which is a kit that I would like to be able to get. I'd like to have both of these built for display. There we go. Metal file is making short works of the sprue knobs. And I'm just passing the file in the one direction. That's the direction the teeth cut. You don't need to bring it back on the plastic, just nice gentle push forward, hold the file level, and you know you're going to get a nice square face. And because it's a very sharp file, it gets a nice cut as well, so it leaves a nicely polished surface. You don't actually need to sand it very much. And to clean these out when they are getting dirty with plastic, good old-fashioned old stiff toothbrush, brush over, and that's the file clean again. This is quite a worn, the brand on it's quite worn off, but they're actually Draper, from the tool company Draper, and they're lovely files. Right, that piece of undercarriage is now nicely dry, and we need to get these pieces in here. And as you can see, we've got the recess and the locating mark. So all we need, a little bit of quick set, let the capillary action run along there, press and hold. Now, these parts aren't sided, they just go on either way. They're both part 79 on the sprue. And then on the rear it's exactly the same, and it's both part 80 for this, so they're not sided, which is good, because if you cut them off the sprue and they are sided, and you didn't know which side is which, you can get them muddled up, but this way there is no chance of getting them muddled up. A little bit fiddlier for me because I've got huge great fingers and huge great hands, but nothing a pair of tweezers won't sort out. So push it down into the face, make sure it's seated properly, and there we go. Right, same on this side. And to some extent, the way this kit builds up, it's such a modular construction. It reminds me of the old Tamiya Bristol Beaufighter. I've built quite a number of those kits. It's one of my favourite World War II aircraft, certainly favourite fighter bomber, probably over the Mosquito. And I can build that kit in about half a day, completely modular like this, get it painted on the interior, glue together the fuselage, wings and that, and within a couple of days you've got an aircraft ready for full paint. Okay, so there we go, that's those two bits done, and that's us complete step 9. Step 10, and this is the bit I was really quite looking forward to. So we've got left, we've got right. So let us take the left hand wing, which is here. So for the left hand wing we need parts 42, which is on the engine parts. And then we also need parts 26 and 28. So there we go. Just cut them off camera. Right, now this is where we need to take a little bit of time to make sure we get our clean up properly. You can see the sprue knob is on the maintenance surface, so we take most of it off with the nippers, and then we'll trim it with the scalpel. Finish it with a file, because we want to get a really nice wing root join on this. Nice and gentle, don't put any pressure behind that blade, let the blade do all the work. Okay, same again here. There are just 2 attachment points, so it's not too bad. Clean up. So take the worst of the sprue knob off. Nice and gentle. That's the beauty of having a sharp scalpel. You need to put no pressure behind that blade. The blade will do all the work for you. And then a nice sharp file. Again, no pressure, just gentle. Pass it over the knob. Perfect. Right, we've got a couple of sprue marks on the side here. Same again, nip it, and then this one is just a little rotating action like that. Gone. Yeah, that's 3 swipes of the file and it's done. Happy days. Okay, so they've told me wrong. Let's get the other 2 engine nacelle parts. That doesn't matter if it's like this, we'll just get them cleaned up and then that's both sides done. That's another sprue empty as well. Just chuck that back in the box. So same again. This one I cut quite neat. One swipe and it's gone. Okay. Let's have a look. one we're needing. So, and again, good locating tabs. All the panel lines are matching up. So if we'll glue this one first, I think I will use a little bit of Revell contactor again, just to get that little strength in the joint. A bit more physical glue there. Doesn't take long to go off. There we go. So simply run it down there. Again here, and run it down. There we go. So locating tab number 1, get that in there. You can see a little bit of glue squeezing out. And then locating tab number 2 at the rear. There we go. Plenty of working time with this glue, so there is no rush whatsoever. Take your time, get it right. And it falls together nicely. Right, and then pass that on that way, and then we want this piece on here. So you've got your 2 locating pins here and here. We'll do a dry fit. There we go, there's the dry fit, and that's actually really nice. Really nice. And whilst this joint is still wet, we've got a bit of manipulation time here. So I think we'll use a little bit of contact from the front. What we can do, if we think we need to, we want to get it square, use the file, because the file is flat and square. And just gently, one direction, run it over. Dry fit again. Look at that joint. That's a good joint in anyone's book. I actually think I'm going to glue that with extra thin, because I think it'll be strong enough. I think we'll get enough penetration. So gently holding it. You don't need to squeeze it like you thought. Just gently hold it and let the glue do the work. And this plastic really is reacting well to this glue. Really, really impressed on how it's coming together. Make sure it's all lined up. Look at it from all angles to see that you're happy. And what we'll do is we'll run a bit of glue down there as well, just to help melt in that beaded Revell contact that's come through. And then we'll look at trial fitting on the nacelle. So I have a feeling it'll be easier to do this whilst the glues are wet. And I know it does say it needs to paint beforehand. I'm quite confident my airbrushing skills can paint all those areas. And that is a really, really nice fit. So we've got a fantastic wing join there because we took the time cleaning up. And with a little bit of manipulation, I think we've got a really good join here. There's a little bit of a seam line, but there's nothing we can't get rid of. So I'm that confident with it, I'm actually just going to go ahead and glue it. So with a quick setting, we're going to start here on this side, and we're going to do this side and over the top. And then once it's curing, we're going to do a bit of manipulation to try and minimize these joints just as much as we possibly can. So we're only needing a little bit of a light sanding sponge to blend it in. So hold it just for a moment. A little moment. Tiny piece of plastic come out, but that is nothing. You see a little bit of plastic exuding out. That's fine. That will let it sit for 24 hours, hopefully shrink back, and then we can give it a sand and that will disappear. So same again, glue and push. Nice gentle pressure. Same on this side. Don't be shy to put the glue in. We need to get enough in to the nacelle to make sure it does bond. So you want glue and push. And we just want to hold that for maybe 5 minutes or so. But that's actually beautiful. I'm really, really pleased with those joins. I think we'll get that cleaned up, no bother at all. And then what we can do, just to make sure we've got it all buttoned up, a little bit in here, and a little bit in here. And that nacelle is done. Yeah, happy with that. There's the big test. Let's see if the undercarriage fits. And with a little bit of jiggery pokery, that undercarriage fits, so we are in a good place to leave off the undercarriage and paint it outside of the aircraft, place it in when it's done. Excellent, it's just exactly what I wanted to do. Fantastic. We've got the wheel well doors, undercarriage doors. They've got a nice little bit of detail here on the inside, no ejector pin marks. I'm just going to leave them on the sprue, paint them on the sprue, and then when we cut them off, a little bit of touch up where the sprue attachment points are, but they're far easier to handle on the sprue as they would be as individual parts. So last but not least, we have the exhaust shroud to put on. I'm assuming that's an exhaust shroud. That is part 41. So that's this part here. So this model really is coming together quickly. Again, using the file nice and smooth. If you want, take it in the second direction just to make sure, and then making sure the orientation is proper. Drop it in the locating holes. Just test for a dry fit and see. There's one, there's two, that's not too bad. Actually, it's not fitting as you'd think. The locating pins are not quite in the right place. So, what we're going to do here. I'm inclined to go, and we'll just nip this front one off here. So nip them right down. There we go. Make sure it's square where it's supposed to be. And then just touch in one end with the glue, bit of gentle pressure, and that is going to be bonded. Okay, this is officially the most disappointing part of the kit. Yeah, fit the exhaust shroud. However, we've got it on. Okay, so there's the first engine nacelle together. Really quite happy with that. what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other one off camera, and then we will come back and we'll be looking at step 12, which we've done step 12 because I've already built all the bombs. That was just gluing them together. We're not going to worry about step 13. Step 14 we will worry about once we've painted it, because I don't want to break any of these. We can look at this, I think. Yep, so this part here will do to get these set up, because obviously we need to paint these whilst we paint the exterior. But moving on in earnest, we'll get the gun. I think there's much to do in there, but I think what we'll do after we've done the nacelle is we'll look here at step 18 and look at the engines and build in this part here, the front engine cowling unit, and then we're nearly ready to think about getting paint, which is fantastic. We're really flying through this. So back in a moment.